But we all find that a recording is not like building a video. A recording of a class is a little bit cumbersome. The teacher's wandering around like I'm doing right now. Last week, I apologized to you for missing class. I had a meeting that I had to go to, and we thought that it would be over well before it was because class starts at 1. I thought I would be back by 12. I actually got back on campus at 12:59. But when I made the decision to let you know that we wouldn't have class, I was afraid that I would be late to class, which I didn't want to hold you for that. What we're going to do today is really kind of cool. I just want to share with you some thinking about how much products cost by the time that you see them in the store. Oh, Andrew, y'all been selling t-shirts, hadn't you? Those t-shirts, I bought Zoe the yellow one, I think for what, $32, something like that. And he's thrilled to death with it. Well, what you may see today is that it doesn't cost $32 to make that sweatshirt. It costs a lot less than that, but it goes through different stages by the time that it gets out on the market. Now, bear with me, guys. I know I'm a little bit dull. I've been dull all my life. My kids saw my high school annual and they said, "Daddy, did you know you were a nerd in high school?" And I said, "It was hard to escape." you know, I've been a nerd all my life, which makes me a little bit boring. But what I'm going to try to do is just share with you some of the stories of how products get there so we can stop and think about some of the markups and markdowns that might happen. I don't know if you noticed that lately I'm into little raccoons and possums and things like that. That came about because my daughter had a possum in her backyard and she called me up, "Daddy, there's a possum in my backyard." And I started harassing her with possums. So she started harassing me with raccoons, and I'm harassing her back with raccoons, and she's harassing me with possums. So that's where all these little raccoons go. The cost of a product. I just want you to see different prices here. Here's $30, $60, $30, $10 and $100. And you got trucks and boxes and stores and people doing things. It costs a lot to produce a product and get it to market. Most of the cost of a product is not in what it costs to make it. It is in what it costs to get it to the point where it can be sold. Have you ever heard a farmer lament the fact that they're charging X dollars for a gallon of milk and they're only paying me so much? Well, the gallon of milk, certainly you had to produce it and it costs money to produce it and you make a profit. But from the production of that item to the time that it's in the grocery store is a tremendous increase. So we're gonna talk about these different layers here just a minute, and keep in mind, that I'm trying to do this without giving you a test, and I want to do it that way, and I'm doing that because you're mature students, and that you will actually think about these things. When you manufacture a product, that's where you convert raw materials into a finished product. That's a pretty big step. Suppose that we look at that yellow sweatshirt that Zoe got. He loves that sweatshirt. He wanted to wear it the other night when he went to bed. He was going to wear it to bed and sleep in it because he liked it. And I told him, I said, "No, Zoe, we need to keep it clean so you can wear it to school one day." But he likes it. But that sweatshirt costs $32 retail. That's once it's been produced and shipped and all of these stages that it's gone through, and then it's on the rack selling it. But to produce that sweatshirt, you would have to produce cotton, you would have to produce nylon. Most of the clothes that we wear are mixed fabric. You ladies know why we mix that fabric? You ever had anything that was just 100% cotton? I bought me a shirt one time and I just loved it and I put it on and I wore it and it was 100% cotton and it was so cool. And then I put it in the washing machine and when I got it out of the dryer, it was about this big around. But it was 100% cotton. Now, guys, I'm not good at ironing stuff. My wife came in and I'm so embarrassed that I bought this shirt and I'm trying to iron it. And finally she told me, said, get out of the way. And she ironed it one time and then I wore it and instead of washing it, I threw it away because it was just too much trouble. And when they mix cotton and nylon, the reason is that they can do ready to wear. I'm an old guy, but Sharon lived overseas for 2 years before she came back, and Zoe and I were kind of on our own, and it was such a learning process. I learned that when you dry clothes, you get them out and hang them up while they're still hot, and then you don't have to iron them, do you? That's ready to wear. So that sweatshirt, they had to produce the cotton, they had to produce the nylon, they had to produce the cloth, they had to cut the cloth, they had to sew the cloth, they had to produce the t-shirt, the sweatshirt. That's a tremendous amount of work. And it has a lot of cost associated with that. And we're gonna talk about that. But once it's manufactured, it's still not on the rack to be sold. Once it's manufactured, we paid money to produce it, but the money to produce it hasn't gotten it to market yet. And it's a very complicated process to get it to market. Probably to produce that sweatshirt may have cost about $6 to $8 to have the finished product. But why does it cost $32 to sell it? That's because there's a long journey from where that is manufactured to get it on the rack so that it can be sold. I was looking at this little Germ-X moisturizing cream. How much do you think that little bottle probably cost when they sold it? If you bought anything like this, we can play the price is right. What do you think this costs to produce? Any idea? And what did it sell for? Yeah, $2, $3, maybe as much as $4 or $5. But it does. But we sometimes we think that because it costs 50 to 75% cents to produce it, and it costs $5 to sell it, that we're being ripped off. But we forget that the journey from the manufacturing plant to the shelf where it's sold is a long journey. So we don't just have manufacturing; we have packaging. It's got to be packaged. This thing, when it came, I suppose it probably had a package over this little nozzle thing, and this was pressed down, and so you couldn't squeeze it out. They have it sealed. I don't know if you remember a number of years ago when they had the Tylenol killer, who was taking Tylenol tablets and putting cyanide in those Tylenol tablets, and somebody goes in and takes that tablet. And cyanide is deadly. I mean, you take a cyanide pill in a few minutes, you're dead. So they started manufacturing things and packaging them so that you can't get to them. Have you ever bought something and you had a hard time getting into it? I laughed. I bought some. I got the flu bug recently, and I was sick for about a week with this stuff. And man, I'm trying to get in the Alka-Seltzer Plus. Sharon bought these little packets of Alka-Seltzer Plus, and I'm in there trying to get in that thing. I mean, it's sealed. It isn't just pills. It's sealed, and I'm trying to tear it open. And I finally said, Sharon, what do you have to have in education to be able to open one of these things? I got a doctorate degree and I can't open it. And she came in there and she took a pair of scissors and cut the end of it. She knew what to do and got in the thing. But it is packaged to make it safe for the consumer. Because, if it was just an open pill in a box, somebody might come along and put a poison pill in there and think who knows what people are capable of doing. The Tylenol murderer killed a number of people because they would open a bottle of Tylenol and they'd take a couple of pills, and one of them might be a cyanide, and they'd be dead almost instantaneously, because cyanide removes all the oxygen from your breathing, and you'll die without it. So we have manufacturing, we have packaging. Then once they've got it packaged, they have to box it up. They have to put it in a warehouse. They don't just send it from the packaging store straight to the people that sell it. You have a warehouse. You have a distribution outlet that takes it from the warehouse and takes it to the wholesalers. The wholesalers take it to the retailers, and the retailers sell it directly to you. So look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps that are pretty fundamental to the manufacturing process. Now, in today's age of AI, what a lot of manufacturers are trying to do is to go directly from manufacturing and try to cut out as many of these steps as they can. Let's go out to Facebook just a minute and see if on my Facebook they're trying to sell me anything. I don't know if you noticed Zoe's little T-shirt or little shirt he's got that says "I want a Diet Coke." That came up on Facebook, and I looked at it and said, "Oh, that's cute." And then I said, "That's $50, so I'm not going to pay that." But once you touch that, AI marketing says this person showed interest in it. So what it does is it keeps putting it on your Facebook account. And I'd look at it again. And finally I broke down and I said, okay, well, let's see if we can see it. Oh, the 250th anniversary of the United States, descendant of a patriot. And I could get that for Sharon. Come on in. I could get this one for Sharon, and because Sharon has several of her great grandfathers, her seventh great grandfather, and her sixth great grandfather fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain in the Revolutionary War. So, hey, that's a pretty cool thing. But look at what they're doing with this. What they're trying to do with that ad is take you directly from the manufacturing place and take it directly to retail and cut out a bunch of steps so that they can make more money when they sell it. I wonder what they're selling that shirt for. Oh, you can put your name on it. Oh, how cool. Descendant of a patriot. Sharon could have some of her ancestors on that, and we could put their name and where they lived. And they were actually from North Carolina. But these folks, as they manufacture it, will give you the size and they will put your information on it. Oh, Zoe, look here, custom name. What name do you want on it? They have Luke Stansberry, custom date 1758 to 1848. He lived to be 90 years old, from North Carolina. What they're doing there is circumventing all of the steps to manufacture something so that they can sell it at a lower price and make more money with it. Sometimes they're not even selling it at a lower price. I just want to see how much that shirt is. Let's see here. Let's see how much it is. Okay, it doesn't say. Let's look. Maybe it says somewhere how much. Oh, $22 and regularly $36. How are they selling it for $22 when it was regularly $36? The way they're doing that is the manufacturer is skipping the steps and they're shipping it straight to you, and they're still making a very healthy profit on it. That's kind of the new stage of business today. So we have the manufacturer who makes it, packaging that packages it, warehouse that stores it, distribution that takes it out to the wholesaler that sells it to the retailer. Bree in HEB. I'm going to pick on HEB because your mama works at manages the HEB store. I go to HEB. I shop at HEB. I love the selection that they have. But look at all of those products. HEB works with wholesalers who come in with different types of products and put them on the shelves. And the wholesaler is paid. The wholesaler got theirs from a distributor. The distributor got theirs from a warehouse. The warehouse got theirs from packaging and directly from the manufacturer. I was in HEB the other day and they were putting up potato chips. Now, if there's anything Zoe loves Lay's barbecued potato chips. And you know, I try to let him not see them because when we go in Circle K, he doesn't buy one bag. He knows there's two bags for $4.50, so he wants two bags. He would hope there would be 10 bags for a set price because he'd get them all. But we walked in there and the wholesaler was putting them on the shelf, and it takes a lot of organization to coordinate with all of the different wholesalers because HEB has their own employees that do things and they buy things directly. You have wholesalers that come in different areas and put things up. And you've got all of these different products. You've got stockers and all sorts of people that put it on the wall, on the shelves. There's a lot of work before we get it to the place that it's ready to go directly to the customer. Now, what I wanted to do today was play with your brain a little bit, and let's talk about the markups that they have with things. Um, that yellow hoodie says BUA on it, sells for $32. It probably cost about $6 to manufacture that. And the manufacturer, or when a manufacturer may sell it for $6, it may have cost them $4 to manufacture. If something cost you $4 and you're selling it for $6, so what it did is it cost you $4, you're making $2 profit, you're making a 50% markup. How would you like to invest $1 and get $1.50 back? And then you invest $1.50 and you get 75 cents back. And you keep rolling your money every week. Do you know that if you made 50% per week on your investment, by the end of the year, you'd have a very healthy amount of money. That's what manufacturers are doing. They're producing it. They're using raw materials. Zoe's potato chips. Let's go back to those Lay's barbecue potato chips. He's walking down the aisle and he spots them putting the Lay's barbecued potato chips on it. Now, Bree, HEB doesn't sell the little bitty bags, do they? I mean, they have them, but they're not what's on that shelf. What's on that shelf is that big bag of Lay's potato chips. And Zoe doesn't care. He sees Lay's potato chips, he grabs it. He is the retail customer. Those potato chips went through a lot of stages before they got there. What are potato chips made out of? Not a trick question. What do you make potato chips out of? Potatoes. They take raw potatoes. They cut them up very thin. They fry them, don't they? They drain them. They have their own way of producing that from a raw potato. How expensive is a raw potato? I mean, hey, if you're buying thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of potatoes, they sell them to you very cheap, don't they? So the farmer is selling his potatoes and he's not losing money, he's making money. So he's the producer. The producer sells it to the manufacturer. The manufacturer takes those potatoes. They have their secret way to produce a good potato chip. Have you ever wondered how they make those Pringles? They're all just perfectly stacked one on another. They make like something looks like mashed potatoes. It's smashed. And then it goes through molds. And then it's heated. And it may be fried, it may be baked, but they all look exactly alike when they come out of the molds and they're done. And therefore they can stack them on top of the other. And you know, goes from a raw potato into potato chip is a pretty good process. So we have the farmer raising the potatoes and he's selling those and he's making money. Then the manufacturer is producing it and making money. A bag of potato chips sells now for, let's say it sells for $5, a big bag of potato chips. How much do you think it costs to produce that bag of potato chips? How much is the manufacturer getting when they sell it? If it costs $5 on the shelf, oh, they may, I mean, if it costs them 75 cents to $1 to make that bag of potato chips, they're making money. So the real cost of a product is not for the manufacturer. It is from the journey from the manufacturer to the retail shelf. And we're going to look at overall markups in some products. So the manufacturer takes raw potatoes and produces potato chips. They bag them up in Lay's potato chips. Zoe sees it. It's got barbecue. Oh, he loves Lay's barbecue potato chips. And not long back, they changed the bag. They redesigned it. Zoe was kind of freaked out for a while until he figured out it was the same thing. He thought they had done away with his potato chips. But the manufacturer is making money. And they're taking raw products and they're producing a product. Whoever produced this, somebody had to produce the bottle. Somebody had to produce the hand cleaner, the Germ-X. Man, this stuff came in when there was COVID, wasn't it? You catch COVID just by walking by somebody that had COVID and be transported through there. You could touch things. You wanted to disinfect your hands so that the germs didn't get on it. Pretty interesting time. The manufacturer might sell this. If they sell it for $5, it probably didn't cost them over $1 to produce it. And we as customers and buying at retail might complain, well, why is there so much markup? Well, let's see where this thing says it was manufactured, if I can read it. I'm blind as a bat. Distributed in St. Louis, Missouri. How did this get from St. Louis, Missouri to San Antonio, Texas, and wind up on this desk? Now, I assure you, whoever bought this, which was probably Orlando, he didn't drive to St. Louis, Missouri to get it. They produced it, they packaged it, they put wrappers on it, they produced a bunch of them in a box, they sent it to a warehouse. From the warehouse, it was distributed to the different major distributors across the country. It went from there to the wholesalers, and the wholesalers took it to the market, to the retailer who sold it. None of us went to Missouri to get it. I mean, Orlando may have bought this online. Orlando may have walked in the dollar store and seen, now I'm going to get that, or whoever got it and put it there. So we have a manufacturing cost from raw products for what it costs to produce it. They're going to mark it up at least 20 to 50%. Because the manufacturer has overhead cost in the plant. They have employees that have to be paid. They have to buy the raw products. They have to run the machines that produce it. So they're going to make a profit. They're not going to do it for nothing. So once the manufacturer does it, they send it to the packager. And the packaging generally gets marked up 10 to 25%, not as much as the manufacturer as a whole. Then it goes to the warehouse. At the warehouse, it's marked up another 10 to 25%. At distribution, it's marked up another 20 to 40%. They got to make a profit for their work. The distribution sells it to the wholesaler who marks it up 20 to 40%. And then the retailer may mark it up 40 to 100%. Clothes, you have what you call a keystone markup, which is 100%. That's from the wholesaler to the retail store. Have any of y'all ever been to anything like a fashion show? You ever done anything like that? I used to run a clothing store years ago when I was a young man, back in the 1910s and things along that. But anyway, I went one year to California and we went to a fashion show where they were demonstrating the products that they were producing. The wholesalers had them, and we were ordering them for our store so that we could mark them up in retail. The average markup is 100%. That's called a keystone markup. So look at all of the markups here, and we're going to get a kind of handle on how much this is. The manufacturer marks it up 20 to 50%. Then in packaging, it gets marked up another 10 to 25%. In warehousing, another 10 to 25%. Distributing, another 20 to 40%. Wholesaling, another 20 to 40%. And then retail, 40 to 100%. So that everybody at every stage is making a little profit. The packager might pay the manufacturer. The warehousing might pay the packager. The distribution might pay the warehouse. The wholesaler might pay the distributor. The retail is going to pay the wholesaler, and the customer is going to pay the retail store. So who ends up footing the cost? All of it. Who ends up footing the entire cost of the product? Who do you think it is? Is it the wholesaler or is it the customer? The purchaser? Think it's the purchaser, Andrea? When you go in a store and you buy a blouse that you like, and you're happy about it, when you pay for that blouse, you have paid every one of these steps. Now they may not take that money and divide it out just like handing it out all in a series, but everybody down the line has made money on that product because you bought it. Now that may not sound like lots of money, but that's lots of money when you think about it. Let's play around just a minute with let me get me something here. Let's get a Word document or an Excel document. That'd be more fun. Let's do it in Excel. Let's get a new one. How much, let's see, how much did it cost let me get all this kind of blown up where you can see it a little bit. Can you see it a little better now? How much did we say that shirt probably cost, that sweatshirt? We say $6? Let me get this thing to format sales. Let's do it where we can see the decimal points number, and we want a number, and we want to see two decimal places. Okay, so it cost $6 to produce that shirt. Who ended up making some on that $6? Well, whoever grew the cotton made money. They sold their cotton. Whoever produced the nylon, made the fabric, they made some money. And then whoever took the fabric, cut it up and turned it into that neat little sweatshirt that Zoe likes wearing, they made some money. But we're going to go wholesaler. We're going to go manufacturer. Manufacturer. Bear with me. Maybe I can type. Manufacturer. Let's spread that out just a little bit. Let's put them over on this other in the middle. So they cost $6. Now, how much does it get marked up when they probably made, say, 20, 30%. That $6 was profit. So the next stage, it goes into packaging, and they're going to mark it up another 10%. We're going to go the soft route, packaging. So they're going to take this amount of money, and they're going to mark it up 10%. So that's like multiplying it by 1.1. Oh, marked it up 10%. Now packaging sells it, and it's $6.60. That's what it costs for it. And then it's going to go to warehousing, and warehousing is going to mark it up another 25% because warehousing is expensive. Warehousing, and they're going to mark it up another 25%. So we're going to multiply that by 1.25. What is happening to the price? It's going up, isn't it? So in the warehouse, it's $8.25. After the warehouse, we got to go to distribution, and distribution is going to mark it up 40%. Distribution is going to mark it up 40%. Let's see how much it is when it gets there. times 1.4. Now it's $11.55. After it goes to distribution, it's going to go to the wholesaler, and they're going to mark it up. Let's see how much they might mark it up. Suppose the wholesaler marks it up another 40%, and everybody's making money times 1.4. Now, the wholesaler, it costs $16. It costs $6 to make it, but by the time it gets in the hand of the wholesaler, it's $16. And then we're going to have the retailer. And the retailer is going to mark it up by 100%. Use a keystone markup. That's 2. That's 1 plus 1. Okay, 100% markup. So how much does the sweatshirt cost when it's sold here? $32. And listen, is $32 high priced for a logoed sweatshirt? You can spend a whole lot more than $32 on a sweatshirt. You can spend lots of money on a sweatshirt. But look at the markup. $6 to start with, and the final sale price is $32.34. Now, you ever been in a store where they mark stuff down 25%? They're going to have a sale price. Let's play with the sale price. Sale price, they're going to mark it down this minus that times point. They're going to give you a 25%. They're going to sell it. You think you got a bargain. You got it for $24.26 and it costs $6 to produce it. Is there a lot of markup in clothes? Well, I'm playing with your brain a little bit. We're just having some fun here. But what do you think are some of the things that have the biggest markups? Some of the products that have the biggest markups. Clothes have big markups. Technology, computers. Actually, they say that with the price of what it costs now to produce, see, the cost of producing it has gone down substantially. If a car had, or a cell phone had gone through the same markup process over time like cars have done, a cell phone might cost you $15,000. But your electronic components have gone down in cost due to technology. But they mark them up. How likely are women to buy things that are beauty products? Are there any cheap beauty products? They're not any good, are they? Well, listen, I'm not bothering you ladies about buying beauty products, because I buy beauty products. We just had Valentine's Day. I got my wife a set of some roses. Okay, flowers are nice, but flowers are here today and gone tomorrow, right? Oh, they're really marked up. Yes. Yeah, the roses that I got were really pretty. I bought them, I think, in HEB. They had really pretty roses, and they were the salmon color, the light orange. They were just beautiful, and it said made in Ecuador, produced in Ecuador. They put those roses. Oh, they cut them in Ecuador. They sold those roses for about I think about $16. Wonder what they cost in Ecuador. Well, let's play around. Just it costs some money to get them from Ecuador. Suppose they cost $1 to produce in Ecuador. They sold for $5. Let's suppose they cost $3 to produce that set of roses. Oh, that's about what it cost, isn't it? They sold them to me for 16, but the people who produced them in Ecuador got $3, and whoever produced them in Ecuador made some money. They're not doing it without making money. How'd they get those roses here before they wilted? Do you think they put them on a ship and took a month to get them here. How'd they get them here? By airplane. Airplane, you can get stuff moved, can't you? And there's passenger planes, and then there's product planes. And they can really pack a product plane. So those roses were packaged. They have pretty paper around them, and they were packaged in Ecuador. They were probably warehoused in Ecuador. The distributor shipped them by airplane, and I bet there's a healthy markup in that. They got them to the wholesaler who gets them to all of the different stores to sell them. I saw roses for sale in the Dollar General store. Roses were for sale in H-E-B. Roses were for sale in Walmart. So everywhere, every stage, they're adding income to it. And then you might find they got them 25% off the day after Valentine's Day. 40% off. Oh, let's play with that. Instead of doing 25%, let's do 40% off. Oh, and they sold them for $9.70. Beautiful flowers. Well, but you have the demand time. Yeah. My wife enjoys getting flowers, and I'll buy them sometimes just at random. But she expects them on Valentine's Day. It wouldn't matter if those flowers were $100. She expects them on Valentine's Day. We've been married 48 years. You know how many flowers I bought in 48 years? Lots of flowers. Matter of fact, when I was dating her, we had not been dating long, and it came up with we started dating, I think, in maybe April, and they had the homecoming game, football game. That would have been in the fall. So I really liked Sharon. I thought she was a cute girl and just what I was looking for, man, Really, I was really attracted to her. So when I went and bought her corsage, I didn't buy carnations. I bought baby roses. And these other guys sent her a corsage. They bought those cheap carnations. I wasn't cheap. I won the contest, okay, because I wasn't cheap. When I took her out to eat, I took her to a nice place to eat. But everywhere has increase in every layer, from the manufacturer to the retailer. Did any of you go out and eat on Valentine's Day? Where'd you go, Bree? Oh, how cool. We went to Texas Roadhouse. You know why we went to Texas Roadhouse? Because that's where Zoe hangs out. Zoe likes Texas Roadhouse. And we paid like $16 for a steak. Wonder how much it cost to produce that steak. Markup. The farmer raised the calf. They got the calf butchered. They killed it. Lo and behold, it was a 6-ounce sirloin. I don't eat a lot. I've gotten where I'm older and I don't eat as much as I used to eat. Zoe doesn't eat a 6-ounce sirloin. Zoe eats an 11 or a 12-ounce sirloin. And then he ate his, and he ate some of mine and some of his mama's 6-ounce. So a restaurant is making money too, aren't they? And they're producing a lunch, and that lunch has a markup with it. Now, again, we were talking about what are some of the areas that we think may have high markups. Flowers. I bet you flowers have big markups, particularly during Valentine's Day. What about at Halloween? What do we get at Halloween? Candy. You noticed how expensive candy was at Halloween? Because all the old folks like me, we still remember when there was trick-or-treating. You can go when you need to, Andrea. I know you got to go. But we still remember trick-or-treating, and we like giving out candy to the little kids, okay? So Halloween candy is top price. What happens the day after Halloween to the candy prices? Yeah, all goes on sale. They're marking it down. Maybe it sold for $16 and after it was over, it went down to $9.70. The retailer is not losing money even when they mark it down because there's a big markup on it. So things like clothes, flowers. Do you think there's big markup in medicine? Oh yeah. My medicine, thank goodness I'm on Medicare now. I'm over 65, I'm 69. Medicare helps pay my medicine cost, and the government negotiates with them. No, we're not giving that much for this. We're going to give that much for this. Things like insulin shots. I don't take shots yet. I try to control my eating so I can stay on the tablets, even though the tablets have a higher propensity to create heart attacks than does the insulin. Tremendous markup in medicines. What else might have tremendous markups? Flowers, clothes, medicines. Yeah, some of those products like that have big markups. Have you bought a real leather, a good quality football lately? That's what one of my wife's little nieces wanted. There's a girl. She wanted a good football. And the reason she wanted a good football is because she's probably a better football player than all the boys in the family. She can throw a football. I throw a football and it looks like a wounded duck going through the air, fluttering around. She throws it, it looks like a bullet. I told her, I said, listen, if I'd had your talent with the football, I'd have been an NFL quarterback. I'd be a multi millionaire today just because I could throw a football. But some things have higher markups. But I want you to see the flow. I'm not asking you to have to do a lot of calculating because you can use ChatGPT to do that. If it will do it for you. But let's go back to this just a minute. I want to show you some of the things that have bigger markups than others. We fuss about groceries being high. Groceries are high, but groceries actually have less of a markup at the retail level than a lot of other things. And the reason for that is that in the grocery market, they turn their money very quickly. They invest, say, $100 and they buy stuff and it sells, and within a few days, and they get to invest their $100 again. That's called turning the money. How many times do we buy groceries? How often do you buy groceries? Once a week? Brief? Me too. Every week on Saturday. Every week, just like clockwork. I got to go to the grocery store. Do you ever go extra? You run out of something? Sharon told me yesterday, said, I've been telling her, Sharon, don't do all this cooking for supper, dinner. I don't need to eat real heavy before I go to sleep because I'm in an age where it turns into fat and I don't need to put in any more weight. So I've been telling her, let's eat light for dinner. So she told me last night, said, we're going to have sandwiches, sub sandwiches. She ain't going to do a regular sandwich like Zoe and I'd make. She made us a Subway sandwich. She had to go to Walmart's to buy the bread. She called me and said, I'm in Walmart's buying bread. Do you need anything? I said, well, Sharon, get me some grapes while you're in there because I love grapes. I love eating them every night, but it's a place of ice cream so I can stay alive. Look at some of the markups. Groceries are not a real high percentage markup. If groceries were like clothing, there'd almost be a revolution in the United States. They voted the last president out because grocery prices went high. That's what took Biden out of office. People got mad because prices went up. And where they really notice it is in groceries. Have you noticed that with Trump in office, that the gas prices have stayed low? I remember under Biden, gas prices went to $4 and something a gallon. Why do you suppose the gas prices have stayed low? Because the White House is pressuring the producers to keep the prices low because he doesn't want to get voted out of office like his predecessor because prices went up. See, they learn. And every time gas prices start going up, what he does is start talking about releasing some of the national reserves to drive it back down. Why do you think that the United States is in Venezuela right now? Just because we were interested in protecting the Venezuelan people? Or could it be that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world and they want to keep gas prices low? I bet you it's the latter one. I'm just sharing with you some different political ideologies so you could think about that. Electronics, Bree, have a markup, but electronics markups are very competitive. Oh, who are we going to get our cell phone from? We going to have an Apple or we going to have a Samsung? Now, I have an Apple because my wife made me get an Apple. Before this, I had a Samsung. I didn't have any problem with having a Samsung cell phone. I got an Apple computer though, and I like my Apple computer. I don't use IBMs. I'm an Apple person when it comes to computers. I bought my and I buy a new one about every year. I give the new laptop to Sharon. I take her laptop and it becomes mine, and I give mine to one of the grandchildren. Except my grandchildren caught on that Papa can buy new Apple laptops if he wants to. So I bought about 5 recently for 5 of the older grandkids. And some of the younger ones said, when am I going to get mine? I said, when Papa comes into his fortune, then you'll get yours, okay? But look at the overall markup in clothing. By the time it's manufactured, 200 to 400%, 100% markup from the wholesaler to the retailer is standard in clothing, called a keystone markup. Oh my gracious. What is the highest one? What has the biggest markup in this thing? Perfume. Oh my gracious. Let me show you my next slide. That's called opium perfume. Now, you understand, my wife and I'm 69, she's 65, and we were into perfume a long time ago. Who buys the perfume? Me. I bought her this bottle of opium perfume for Valentine's Day. I had it shipped to the house and got it there on Valentine's Day. I paid $128 for this little 3-ounce bottle of perfume. Because opium, they make black opium now, but I don't like it as much as I like opium. I like opium perfume, but the perfume is for me. I'm going to share with you a man thing, okay? Men to think about this. You know, you can be an old average looking guy, but if you're walking around with a pretty woman, they don't look at her and say, she's with that guy. What's wrong with her? They don't do that. They look at him and say, man, he must be special to have a girl that pretty with him. See, so I want Sharon to go to the beauty shop. I want perfume. I want her fingernails done, do her hair. I mean, fix her makeup, dress. Because when she's with me, I don't want them to say, I want them to say, hey, look at that guy. He must be special to have such a pretty woman with him. Why is there such a markup in perfume? Because we will pay it, Bree. We'll pay it. Why is there such a big markup in makeups and all of those things? We'll pay it. You doggone right, we'll pay it. My wife has her makeup. Bree, I don't want to embarrass you, but do you have your makeup? Yes, most women do. Because that and you don't really negotiate. Would you go to that particular producer of makeup and negotiate with them to get it at a cheaper price? No, you buy what you need, what feels right, what looks good. And there's big markup in those things. Have any of you ever seen the pink Mary Kay cosmetic stuff? Oh, screen sharing just quit. Let me go back and get it back on so it can share. Have any of y'all ever seen the Mary Kay pink Cadillacs that they sold to the dealers? Those people that were retailing Mary Kay cosmetics. How much money are they making on makeup when they can give a retailer who's a top retailer a Cadillac? One of our friends, Dee Lee, is a wonderful lady. Dee's a very, very sweet lady, but she sold, I can't remember what the name of the makeup she sold. They let her go to Hawaii. Oh, did this stupid screen went off. We put it back on. Come on, screen. That's what happened. I couldn't figure out why it quit on my machine. But they sent Dee and her husband to Hawaii because she sold so much of that makeup. How much markup is there in makeup and beauty products? Hey, if I could find something that would regrow my hair, I don't have to look how thin I am, man. I get out in the rain. All I got to do is have a cold raindrop hit me on the top of the head, and it'll put me in shock. Come on, thing. Let's see if it's going to reload. It's messing around. It's trying. I don't know why it did that. Come on. Come on. Get the screen. I'm sorry I cut the screen off on this, guys. But I don't, how much do you think I'd pay to get my hair back? Man, while you got hair, enjoy it. Look here. I used to have the neatest little curl. You know, it was so cute. Sharon and I. Let me show you what I looked like when Sharon and I married. Let's see if I can find that. Just a minute. Let's go to YouTube because I got a big YouTube site. I've had over 2 million downloads. But let's get in. Let me check out here. Let's go to your channel and let's see if it'll show. This is our wedding picture. See if I can get it any bigger. You may not be able to see it. That was our wedding picture. Sharon was a doll now. You see why I didn't, you see why I didn't mind, you can't hardly see our pictures there. I didn't mind paying for flowers and perfume and chocolate and beauty stuff. I bought her mother was very conservative. I bought her first pair of designer jeans. Yeah, she was with me. I wanted her to look good, right? But people will pay for those products. So there's big markups. I used to have hair. I know you can't see it, but I used to have hair. It's kind of hidden there. I had hair. I really did. I had hair. And I had the cutest little lock right there. I used to think it was, I'd fuss about it because wouldn't control very easy. It's been long gone. Look at this t-shirt again. What they're doing here is skipping the stages to sell it they're selling it, they're making a good price, but what they've done is skip the stages. They've cut out some of the layers. So they're going from the manufacturer through a couple of stages directly to the customer, and they're saying, oh, we're selling it for half price. And they're making really good markups doing that. Have you seen any of these manufacturers now that you can go online, you can design the bicycle that you want? And they're expensive bicycles. Those are high dollar bicycles, and you can design it just like you want it, and they will ship it from the manufacturer straight to your home. They're making money. Look at books. Pretty good markup in books, isn't it? How many of you bought a $100 textbook? You bought a $200 textbook? I mean, they got you. They think, I know a teacher that I had years ago that ordered a $500 textbook. Oh, have you got $500 to throw away on a book? Isn't that awful? The teacher, I was at a community college, and no, I was at Texas A&M, and ordered a $500 textbook. Well, the students didn't buy the book. No, I mean, duh. Duh. You don't kid me. I wasn't going to buy a $500 book. but there's big markup in books because you're a captive audience. What do you do if a class adopts an expensive book? You know, I generally don't adopt a book. If I adopt a book, I'll adopt a free book. There's lots of free books out there. And the reason I do that is because why should you waste? I wouldn't waste my money on a $200 book. I don't want you to waste your money on a $200 book. Luxuries sells. Luxury smell and equal luxury price. Just think about some of those perfumes that are out there. You know, when we were in Egypt, have you ever heard of Chanel #5? One of the old, and that's nice. It's nice. We went, do you know that was developed in Egypt? And it's an oil based. The good perfumes are oil based, not alcohol based. They're oil based, and the quality of a perfume is judged by if you put it on, how long it stays. You know, you put something on and it's gone in 3 minutes. Zoe likes aftershave. He loves cologne. He wants that good oil-based Arabic cologne that costs money. He can put it on and he smells good all day. He likes that. But it's expensive. Big markup. I went to Egypt and we bought the oil base to Chanel #5. I bought it for a friend of ours. She's Indian and a very sweet lady. Jyoti loves Chanel #5, and we bought $100 bottle of the oil. Now listen, if we'd have bought that as perfume at retail, it would have probably cost us $3,000 or $4,000. Big markup. You know what you do with that oil base? You mix it. You mix it with alcohol or you can mix it with other things that the oil is what has the smell to it when you do it. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit this deal. Let's see if we can get back to my little deal. Let's see. I had, the opium perfume. That little 3-ounce bottle of opium perfume cost me $128. You think I complained? Now, hey, if they'd have charged me $128 for a textbook, I'd still be complaining. I bought flowers, and listen, I didn't go to the florist. I went to HEB. I got the same flowers for a fourth of the cost. Florists really mark them up. But these are things that are beauty products. And you know, Valentine's Day, the day after Valentine's Day, I bet this perfume went down in cost because everybody was buying it on Valentine's Day for their beloved. Hey, I don't splurge. I mean, I don't cut corners when it comes to things for Sharon because I want Sharon to keep me. Now let's go back just a second. The cost of a product, it goes through manufacturing. It goes through packaging, warehousing, distributing, wholesalers, and retail. And at every stage, there's cost and there's markup. If it costs something, they're not going to break even. They got to make money. And you keep compounded those increases. And before long, you wind up with things that cost a lot of money. Let me put that down a second and let's go back to this. That sweatshirt may have cost $6 to manufacture. Okay, $6 to manufacture, sold for $32. Let's consider perfume has a markup maybe of 3,000%, but it's a secret formula. Do you think they hand that formula out to the public? Have you ever gone somewhere and you bought one of these cookie stores or things like that? I was in Germany and we bought some cookies and they were just wonderful. And I asked the lady, I said, do you have the recipe for these cookies? She said, yes. I said, well, is there any way I could get it? She said, yes, $100. Okay. Sell us the recipe, because she's making cookies and selling them. We see people sometimes doing things like they're selling gourmet popcorn. You ever seen that? How much markup do you think there is on popcorn and cokes in a movie theater? You have a captive audience. Zoe went to see what was the movie recently about the woman, and she was mistreated in the office, and she and her ugly acting boss were trapped on an island. Zoe went to see that. He went to see Fire and Ash. He went to see the Goat. He likes movies. How much money do you send three people to go to? You're gonna go to the movie. Lana and Alejandro take Zoe a lot of times. Sometimes Zoe Euron goes. I give them $20 a piece, not for the ticket, just for the popcorn and Coke. You know, guys, if you could sell popcorn all day for $20 with a Coke, you'd be making some money. And they have a captive audience. I'm going to stop here today, but is there anything you want to ask me or you want to observe with this? Does it cost money? I just wanted to show you something in this. What if something cost $1 to produce? Maybe selling for $5. Yes, Bree. On a luxury item. And suppose a Louis Vuitton purse. They don't cost much more to produce. Maybe they cost 25% more than a regular pair, but look at the markup on them. My son, when he was young, my oldest son, he had to have Lucky Brand jeans. If I was buying it, now he's making his own money. He can wear Walmart brand, okay, when he's having to buy them. The reason I mentioned Louis Vuitton is because over in the United Arab Emirates, they produce Louis Vuitton in China. And they sell what they call knockoffs in the UAE. And then there's on the knockoffs, there's the high-end knockoff. Maybe the real thing. And how much Bree do you think a Louis Vuitton purse, just regular ballpark, would cost? You know how much I paid for Louis Vuitton, the top knockoffs for? 100 dirhams. That's $27. Now, let me tell you the story. One of our friends that we work with said, I want one of those for my sister. I said, well, next time I go to China Mall, I knew the dealer. You have to know the dealer to get the good price. And I bought a lot of purses from him. So I bought her a top line Louis Vuitton knockoff. And something went wrong with it. Her sister didn't know it wasn't a real Louis Vuitton. She took it to the Louis Vuitton store. They replaced it. It was a real Louis Vuitton. Probably, who knows how it got from China to the store where I bought it at. The people that make Louis Vuitton, they may make the knockoffs too. How much markup do you think there is in one of those purses? You cost you $100 even to produce it, and you sell it for 3,000. They make lots of money on that stuff. A Hermes Birkin, $25,000, $30,000. I bought fake Hermes Birkin, top end knockoffs for my daughter. She went to see her counselor in the military, and the counselor said, do you have that purse insured? That purse is worth $50,000. I paid $27 for it. My daughter said, no, if something happens to it, my daddy will just get me another one. She acted like her daddy was wealthy. Her daddy wasn't wealthy. Daddy just knew the people. There's lots of high markups in these designer brands because you're buying the name. And will we do that if we're going to buy something? If I'm going to buy something for my wife, am I going to be a cheapskate when it comes to buying her a designer thing? No. No. How much markup is there in diamonds? You know, a lab produced diamond is identical to a mined diamond, except that a lab produced diamond has less imperfections in it. I don't know. Look at Sharon sometime when you see her. She's wearing a 2 carat marquee diamond. I'm not going to tell you that it was lab produced in India, but it was. And you can't distinguish it from a diamond that cost $30,000, $40,000. Because what you're doing is buying an image, and that image is substantially marked up. And designer purses, designer clothes. The sad thing is, and I just mentioned this, and I got to stop. The sad thing is, they will take middle class people and convince us that that's what we have to have. And sometimes you don't see the real wealthy doing that because they're hanging on to their money. That's why they have money. But, sometimes they do. They'll do things like that. Anything you want to ask me else before we go? Now, we're not having a test over this. I want you to see the story. Let it get in your heart and your soul. Next time you go in the store, look for it. You'll be thrilled to death when you see it. I will let you go. I appreciate you being here today, and I'm going to end our recording.